Assalamualaikum and good greetings. So today I'll be watching a video by Aanghel. Not sure what is the correct pronunciation. The video titled "I'm a Muslim Now, My Revert Story."
I'm Muslim, y'all. Alhamdulillah. It's been over a month. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. It's been over a month that I did my shahada. I've been low key, been reading, been learning, been researching, and just going through the journey by myself for a little bit, just because I feel like a lot of people are against this. A lot of people have preconceived notions, just like I did. Which, I mean, it is what it is. It's the world we live in. The media controls everything. But with this video, guys, I want to tell you what led me to Islam. I want to tell you why I chose it. I want to tell you what did I think before and what do I think now that I am a Muslim. And yeah, I'll tell you guys about a podcast that I'm about to make too, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it's for everyone, because it's gonna be about Islam. It's gonna be raw, it's gonna be uncut. It's going to be something that not everyone will vibe with, because I'm not filtering myself, and the two brothers that I'm making this podcast with, we are not filtering ourselves. So like I said, not for everyone, but if you're down for that, you'll hear about it towards the end of the video.
I'm not sure what he mean by that, meaning that it will be mainly about Islam, but he will not be filtering himself. So because normally when people say as a warning, right, as a disclaimer or warning, there will be no filter, etc. It's either there will be a lot of use of swear words or bad words, or you will touch upon sensitive issues. So I'm not sure whether what he will be talking about in the podcast will be, what is it, politically incorrect or something, because the way he put it is if that it is like going to be something raw, which trigger my interest, of course. But yeah, we will see.
Why did I choose Islam? Or more importantly, what led me to Islam? Alright, so a little backstory. I was born into Catholicism. Not like 100% practicing Catholicism, but Catholicism nonetheless. My mom was Catholic. My grandma was Catholic. I can't say my dad was Catholic. I think my dad didn't have any religion at the time, or if he did, it was kind of like a very loose form of Christianity, maybe even agnostic. So there was no set path. Because there was no set path, that's what kind of led to me wandering around for a lot of years before I came onto Islam. I remember my sister had a baby, passed away around like 6, 7, maybe 8 months old. And at that point, it's just like there had been so much that happened negatively in my life. Like, I had been through all that abuse. I was just having such a hard time. And then that happened with my sister, that it's like I just questioned. I questioned God. I questioned there even being a God. I was like, you know what? There's no way that there's a God if something like this happens. If I'm going through something like this, if other people are suffering and going through all these things. So I became atheist for, I want to say, maybe like 3-4 years. And the entire time I was atheist, like, yeah, I looked into science very strongly, and anytime someone would try to bring up God or would try to bring up religion or anything spiritual, I would shut them down, and I would try to say all these things and try to prove that God wasn't real. I would try to prove that everything that they were believing in, everything that they were thinking of, everything that they were saying was just dumb, just not real, that it was just retarded, for lack of better words. And I hate to say that, but I mean, that's the truth. That's what I did. And I was very miserable during the time that I was atheist. And I remember there were bits and pieces or bits and parts where I was with this girl and she was Christian, so she would always bring me to church, but it's like I never vibed with it. I never really vibed with it. And then her and I, we ended up breaking things apart. It was like 2015. Then I ended up meeting my ex, which was my fiance. It's the one I was engaged to. She was Christian. Her family was very, very Christian, and her mother was literally a believer. Like, if you ever seen a believer, like, this is someone who's legit a believer. She was very strong in her faith, and just being a part of that made me want to seek God and to go deeper into it. And at the time, which I completely forgot to say, but at the time I was starting to come back to God. I just didn't know what I was doing. I was on this new age thing where it's like consciousness, meditation, third eye, pineal gland, astrology, crystals, astral projection, all this stuff where it's like, yeah, I was seeking God, but I didn't have a set path. I was like wandering about in the dark, just lost, to be honest with you guys. So when I was with this girl, I was doing that. I was trying to seek, I was trying to do all these things. And I would say about 2016, 2017, that's when I basically started going deeper into Christianity. And I even got baptized. I was reading the Bible. I was going real deep into it. But there were so many contradictions that I was finding. And if y'all want to know about the contradictions, by all means, wait till the end of the video. I'll get into that. We just wait until the end of the video.
Is it in the podcast? Is that the warning about raw? But anyway, the journey is quite, of course, from a third person, quite an interesting one. You know, going through, and he said he even get baptized. So I have never understand what that is and what is its significance. Is it like someone entering the religion, or you know, because some people before talk to me as if that is perhaps it is true in the US or in the Western culture where Christianity is the majority, so people know what is baptism, right? But I don't have a clue about it.
There were contradictions, things that just left more questions than answers, and it wasn't clear cut. It wasn't logical. It was just a lot of stories, which I don't mind the stories, but it's like it's something that you had to interpret for yourself. And I feel like if something is going to show you the way, if something is going to show you a set path, there really shouldn't be that much room for interpretation, but more so a clear cut, raw, like, hey, this is it, go ahead, like, that's the path right there, this is all you have to do. A clear cut instruction manual. If you have a bed frame for IKEA and you're trying to build this bed frame, you want the instruction manual to be as clear as possible. You don't want the instruction manual to say, hey, grab this screw and you know what, just figure out where you're gonna put it. Just have fun, go and figure it out. Like, you don't want that. If you have an instruction manual, you want it to be clear, concise, precise. You want it to be clear cut, just cutthroat, to the point. You know what I mean? So it's like the Bible wasn't that for me. And like I said, it kept bringing up more questions than answer. And I'm not knocking it, all right? Because who am I to tell someone that what they're believing is right or wrong? Now, of course, that opinion might change the deeper that I get into Islam. But I strongly believe that, you know, God guides who he wills. And if the only way to reach you is through Christianity, or if the only way to reach you is through Buddhism or even the New Age stuff, Hinduism, whatever it is, then that's how he'll do it. That's how God will guide you. Now, is that technically the right way? Well, maybe, maybe not. I can't fully speak on that yet because my knowledge is limited. I'm still very new to this, but to keep going with the story, I kept going into that, and I remember her and I split beginning of 2018, and during that time, I dropped the Bible, I dropped Christianity, and I pretty much became agnostic, where it's like I believed in God, but I didn't really go much further than that. I stopped all the spiritual practices. I stopped really trying to do all that new age stuff. Like the only thing I really kept was meditation, and that's pretty much it. Right? That's pretty much it. But fast forward to 2019, I'm over here living with my two best friends at the time. And it's like, I had everything. Material-wise, I had everything. Social-wise, I had that. I was talking to girls. Nothing serious, but I was talking to girls. Like I said, I was talking to girls. I was ready for some sugar walls. It just didn't end up happening. But I was talking to girls, like everything. I had everything that I could want at that point. But it's like I still felt empty. I still felt pretty trash, to be honest with you guys. I still felt like I was looking for distractions anywhere that I could find them. And a part of me came on to, or not a part of me, but I had stumbled onto dopamine detoxing. And when I had first done dopamine detox, I remember very clearly that I was being almost like drawn to it, like something was telling me to read the Quran. And I've never read the Quran, but I had a Quran. I had a Quran and I had a Bible because I had some kind of bookshelf in my room. It was silly to even think about that, but I literally had them just for display with this Arabic knife and these crystals and these plants. It was stupid.
That is interesting. Is that normal? Is that meaning people collect stuff, knife, etc., antique stuff? I can understand that, but Quran being one of those items, that is something that I have never heard before, to be honest.
It was stupid, but you know what? Everything happens for a reason, right? So I started feeling pulled to read the Quran. I do not read it because I was ignorant at the time. I was closed off. I did not want to, and I remember that just kept going. I kept feeling that over and over and over and over and over again, but I just kept disregarding it and doing my martial arts and doing my work because I was real headstrong and just focused on what I was doing this whole dopamine detox for. Which, if you watch my videos, that's what I said. I said that I was doing it for martial arts and for my work, to become more obsessed with martial arts.
What is it? What the dopamine detox? What is it? Maybe I should Google that after this.
But here I am being pulled in this direction. So to end that part, yes, I kept being pulled, didn't go to it, didn't read it. So then I got into surgery in 2020 in the summertime. Ended up coming back from New York because that's where I got the surgery. And again, I started feeling really, really low, like really down, depressed, anxious. I don't even want to get deeper into that, but I decided I was going to do dopamine detox again. And the first day that I was doing it, I was sitting in this exact room right there on the ground, and I started feeling that same feeling that I felt the first time that I did a dopamine detox, which was to read the Quran. And I didn't read it. I was, I'm doing dopamine detox, I'm not going to read it. Second day, even stronger, and I was contemplating. I was like, should I read it, should I not read it? Third day, so strong that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to read it. It's a spiritual, holy book. It's not going to be that bad for dopamine detox purposes. And I tell y'all, like, once I started reading this, I want to say like the third day in, so 6 days later of doing the dopamine detox, 3 days later of reading the Quran. I remember after reading it the third time on the 6th day, I sat down to meditate after, and it all clicked. Like it just all clicked, and I just understood. And it's like, to put it in the most simple words possible, it's as if I had found what I was looking for. And I'm not trying to hype it up, but I felt these waves going through my body, and like I've never felt anything like that. Like, listen, I've done shrooms, I've done acid, I've done coke, I've done ecstasy, I've done Molly. I know they're pretty much the same thing, but I've done them. I've done alcohol, I've done weed, I've done so many things in my life, and nothing has ever made me feel what I felt in that exact moment when I had these waves rushing through my body. And I'm not gonna sit here and say, hey, yeah, you're gonna feel the same thing once you stumble onto the truth, or once you find the path. But it's like, for me, I can only speak for me. I can only speak for myself. And that's what led me to Islam. That's why I chose Islam. That's why I accepted Islam. And I believe that it was in that moment that I did become a Muslim. All right. Now, what did I think before? Before I got into Islam, I had these preconceived notions that, for one, Islam was only for Arabs, which is retarded. Islam is for everyone. It's just a preconceived notion. Right? These are things that I was thinking about. Number two, I thought that it was something very oppressive. But the more you read into it, the more you see for yourself that it's actually not oppressive. And then number three, I thought it was very extreme. I thought that the people who practice this stuff were, the people who they show on the media doing all this crazy stuff. And it's like, dude, that's not it at all. Like, these people are extremists. They have that extreme nature. They're thinking in a way, and they're taking it out of context and doing things under the name of Islam, under the name of the Quran. But it's like, that shouldn't be the factor as to, like, okay, this is what Islam is. It's these people right here, which that's what the media portrays. The media portrays that, like, these people that are bombing, that are doing all this stuff, those are the ones that Islam creates. That's what Islam is. But that's not what Islam is. Like I said, these are people who are extreme. That's them. It's like when you have Christianity and you have the KKK. Like, bro, you don't say that everyone who's Christian is like these people. These people were just extremists, and they took it out of context. And that's the same thing with everything that's happening in today's day and age, except the media has a hidden message. And I'll probably get flagged. This video might be put down for that, but I'm gonna say what it is. All right.
Okay, that is interesting overall, because the transition is just after reading Quran for 3 days, if I get the story correct, right? I'm not sure, because that is the lead up towards him feeling that this is for him, and he feel that at that point he is already becoming a Muslim. Not sure what happened after that, because what he talked after that about taking things out of context, etc. Is it due to that 3 days of reading, or some other process? Because it is surprising for me, at least, if just 3 days of reading, you can read a lot in 3 days, right? But you already relates all of those things.
That's what I thought about this. I thought that this wasn't it. I thought that this was just another religion. But as soon as I got into it, man, it's definitely not it. And the last thing that I want to say is that this thing right here, this holy book, is logical, and it's not this thick. This is a transliteration and a translation, so it's probably like double the size of an original Quran, but it's logical. It's logical. It's clear cut. It's like I said, you have an instruction manual, and it tells you exactly what to do. There's no room for interpretation. There's no room for guessing. It's not read between the lines. It's no, this is exactly what it is. It's clear and cut. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, like, I find that to be priceless. I find that to be the only determining factor of, like, should you take this path? Should you not take this path? But then again, that's just me. That is just me. I'm just saying here. But to end the video off.
Okay, so that is, I think, one interesting point. That he said, it is clear cut what is the instruction is. But you might be familiar as well with the discussion about, interpretation, etc. Now, I think the big difference is if you read through, because the issue normally when people pick a certain verses, especially normally those who are already picked by certain people to highlight some things, to paint a certain picture, right? So then you say, oh my God, what is this? What do you mean? Can you justify this or explain this? Normally that is where it gets complicated. But if you read through the narrative, because the Quran is written in a certain narrative, right? So every stories, every whatever fits into the story, and if you read through and follow the narrative, just like he said, I think it will be very clear what is going on and what is being emphasized and why the story is put there to highlight what and what is the lesson learned, etc. Right? There is that flow. You can only get that if you follow through the narrative rather than, suddenly pick up. Can you justify what is this? What normally when people pick up something like that. That is interesting, I think, from what he just said.
Turn the video off. If you have watched this far, you're either one, a Muslim, or two.
Yeah, good guess, because otherwise you wouldn't be interested to listen through the story, I guess.
Two, you generally like the content that I put out, and you actually want to hear what I have to say. So either the two, if you've made it this far, then what I'm doing with two of my brothers, they're not blood brothers, but they are brothers in faith.
Okay, so that is a missing part of the story, because he said he lived with the two guys. How that fits into the story, right? Because certainly some things, some conversation, etc. I do not know, because the whole story that he have told is like he is in isolation through the journey, but he have been living in this house with that two brothers, two guys, right? And if I understand what he just said, brother in faith, I assume both are Muslim. If that is the case, so how does that fit, right? Because or what was being told is exactly correct, like there's no interaction, there's no sharing, etc. He just goes through his own journey without involvement with the other two guys.
We're making a podcast all about Islam. We're going to be talking about all the details. We're going to be going in depth, like why Islam logically. We're going to be talking about haram, halal. We're going to be going in depth as to like why things are haram, because like that's something that I didn't understand from a non-Muslim point of view when I wasn't a believer. I didn't understand why there were these things that were haram, like music, for instance. Why is music haram? We're going to get into that into the podcast, right? But again, it's a very clear cut and raw podcast. There's no filtering. We're just talking straight up. We're recording our conversations and we're putting them up there. All right, so if that's something that you're interested in, stay tuned. I will be announcing it throughout the next few weeks. I'll be announcing little things here and there, and then I want to say in like 2-3 weeks that's when the actual channel is gonna drop, and we're gonna have it on iTunes, Spotify, I believe, just all the platforms, because we're gonna have the visual and we're also gonna have the audio as well. So if that's something you're interested in, like I said, just stay tuned for it. It's coming. It is coming. But with that being said, enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope the video might have helped, at least in one way, shape, or form. But enjoy the rest of your day, and remember that the time is now.
Alright, so that is the video. So I think my eyes is already red. Yeah, it's 1:30 a.m. Anyways, interesting stories. The highlight for me is his interaction with Quran and what he gets from the Quran and the feeling that he gets from the Quran, I guess. Especially in the sense that normally people, one of the point that people see about the Quran is interpretation issues, etc. But he sees it from his claim, right? It's very clear, it's very direct, it's very clear what is it's the instruction to you, right? I feel the same way, of course, right? But because that never been said often enough, I guess. But anyway, I think this is long enough. Hopefully you get something out of this, and I guess thank you for watching. See you next time.